Hello, everybody, and welcome to Hold Up the Show, where we dive deep inside your childhood nostalgia, pull the movies from your past out to see if they hold up. I'm Chase, and as always, I'm holed up with Kyle and Andrew on the Kirkland Signature Series hotline.
Blessed to be here. Thank you.
It is a blessing. Andrew, let's do a quick prayer.
Yeah. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Ghost, Lord, you are with us at all times, and we thank you for that. You inspire
Amen.
us. Yes. Amen. Moving on.
Moving on.
Yeah.
That was beautiful, guys. With a prayer like that, it's going to help us really lock into today's movie. We watched Predator. Before we get started, Kyle, I got to know, man, what is your energy levels today using alien sci-fi terms? I think that works, right?
Oh.
Or should we do hunter terms?
Whichever one you two think is the best.
Let's do hunter terms because I think we've done. Let's do hunter terms because I think we did sci-fi terms previously.
Okay. So today is one of those days where you're in your high hide, and you're waiting for the predator to come around to kill it and wear its skin as your own. And you fall from your hide and knock yourself unconscious, and then spend the next undisclosed amount of time, which seems to be days, but it's really hours, searching for a way out. And you find yourself trapped in a trap that you had set yourself, such as a bear trap. And it's crushed part of your leg, and you're subsisting off of tepid jungle water that's making you sick. You're becoming dehydrated. And over the crest of the hill, you see a tiger pop out from the trees. And your last waking memory is it standing on top of you, placing gently your head in its mouth. And the pressure comes, and that's the last thing you remember.
So you're doing great.
Yeah, thank you.
Doing great.
Doing great.
Yeah, did that bring you a lot of joy to hear that?
It did.
Oh, yeah.
And as you said last week, we were watching Jeffrey Epstein's favorite movie. We watched Predator. So,
yes.
Andrew, let's start with you. What do you remember about Predator as a kid?
I remember the jungle. I remember the face paints. Fun little fact, my dad, the first time I ever viewed this, I don't remember it. I was 6 months old, swaddled in my dad's arms on the couch, and I don't know, I guess we were in Connecticut at that time, but he wanted to show me Predator at a young age. That sounds really wrong. I'm going to take that back. He wanted to show me the movie Predator at a young age, which, if you don't know what Predator is, that could sound a little questionable, but he wanted to show me a classic. It was one of those movies that came on like AMC or like TNT or something like frequently on like a Friday nights, and you just sit down and watch it because it was good-ish. I take that back. You'd sit down and you would watch it just because it was on. There's quotes that you remember. This movie has lore for sure. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, there's a lot of things to rehash. I could keep going, but I think that's enough. I've given you enough to work off.
Especially for a childhood too. Predator spawned so many sequels. It's built its own franchise. Oh, yeah. It's integrated with the Alien franchise as well. Comic books, toys. I mean, where do you even begin with this? Like, so,
this movie.
Yeah, this movie, absolutely. Kyle, what do you remember about being a kid? Because this is one you were adamant that we do.
Yeah, we have to do this one. We've done a lot of questionable movies to kind of give you guys some guidance on if you should or shouldn't. This one, I think we all know where it's going, but it's a classic. But it's, guess what? Almost 40 years old. It's something I realized last night while watching this. It is old now. And I think it is appropriate that we do look at this, because my memories of this as a kid was just like, first of all, scary. Second of all, super cool. I talk about aesthetics a lot, and aesthetics draw me into certain movies more than others. And the aesthetics in this movie, the costuming, the set design, which there was quite a bit of set design because of some errors that were made, and the costume design, the special effects, except for one or two moments, are like just, they draw you in. And as a kid, I mean, like, I only saw the TV version. And as I found out last night, I was like, well, I don't remember that part because they cut it the fuck out. Like, this is not going on TV. We're not going to even go there.
there's a lot of things they cut out from TV.
A lot.
So many things.
I was gonna
A
say
lot.
it reminded me of Face Off when we watched Face Off, and that was the first time I'd watched the uncut version of Face Off. I was like, "Holy shit, this is a different movie!" And like when I was watching Predator, it was the same thing. I was like, "Damn!" As a kid, always got the censored version from my parents, but yeah, it's like to your point, it's just almost different and all together.
Yeah. I would say this is like a completely different movie that I watched last night, and it gave me a better appreciation for some of the characters. And some of the acting, this is one of Arnold's. I remember this is when I was like, as a kid, I was like, Arnold's a great actor without having seen any of his other stuff. And he's not a great actor, but this is certainly one of his better movies for sure when it comes to like realism acting and like believability, because he brings that character to life. And it is what I would imagine him to be like, but like it, prime time Arnold, like in his absolute prime as an actor, is what I remember this as a kid. That and Carl Weathers as well.
Oh, R.I.P. to a full
R.I.P.
legend. Second time on the show too.
I love everything about Carl Weathers. I feel like he was one of the most like lovable actors in Hollywood. Like
kind of
you couldn't say a bad thing about him, honestly.
little over
so many memorable roles.
Little overshadowed too as an action star. Probably one of the better action stars because he was an incredible actor too. Like
I think
very
he's a
good
better actor than Arnold. I think he's a better actor than Arnold for sure.
You know what's funny about this movie is what I remember most, and I'm hopefully my brother's listening to this episode and he can like remember this. Growing up with an older brother, you get to watch some things that you probably shouldn't be watching or you're kind of inundated with. I remember watching this movie as a kid, mostly through edited versions that my parents would let me watch. I was scared shitless of the Predator. But I remember the second one more. I think that was because that came out in the 90s. Again, it was one of those movies that came out during our time, and maybe that's one we do down the road. I don't want to put the cart before the horse there with, what was it, Danny Glover in that one, and it was Concrete Jungle. And I thought that was kind of cool concept of the Predator using New York and the skyscrapers to hunt from, like almost like a jungle. It was a very interesting concept. I also remember video games. There was, I think, a video game based on Concrete Jungle where you played as the Predator and you went around fighting these, like, I guess, mafia bosses and stuff and gangs.
Yeah.
And you get your ass kicked, and you're like, how is a 7'2" ultimate hunter getting its ass kicked by a guy with, like, a fucking Beretta 9mm? That I remember, and the main thing I remember that I'm hopeful that my brother remembers is the chain gun that Jesse Ventura had in this that is just absurd, right? My brother had a toy version of that, and it was huge. And I remember it was like one of those hand-me-downs I got, and it had like lights and stuff on it. So when you hit the trigger, it would just like rotate, and the lights would light up, and it would like be kind of like a laser gun. It was the coolest thing that I had as a kid, I will say that. So I would run around my house like I was Jesse Ventura, pretending to have a dip in my mouth and carrying that chain gun. So that was a big thing for me in my childhood. So Predator like was huge in our household. And also I will say too, it's like it's just survived the test of time. I mean, we've got a new Predator series out there now, which is probably the best trilogy we've seen in the Predator franchise, and it's suffered through some bad ones, you know. Kyle, you're a big fan. Have you seen any of the new trilogy, including the animated?
So I've seen, what was it, Predators, plural, with Adrian Brody. Okay. And that is actually one of my favorite. It's this one and then that one is my two favorite. Although I have not seen all the new ones. I did not watch the Predator, did not watch that. And there was a couple more, like Badlands and like the Hunter one. Like I haven't seen those of the series yet, but it's on my to-do list because I've heard interesting things.
Because they rebooted it with Prey, and Prey is very good. And then Killer of Killers, I think, right?
Is that the animated series?
The animated series, which I highly recommend to anyone out there that's a Predator fan. That animated movie that they just released like a couple of years ago is incredible. And it's an anthology, and it follows the Predator against different hunters. very well done. And then the latest film as well, I think it's Badlands, is just also incredible. So we're living in the prime era for Predator, because for a while it was looking kind of dicey. And I did have some of the comic books growing up. Did either one of you have comic books or play the video games at all?
No. I went and saw Alien vs. Predator in the theaters when it came out when I was like
That was it. That's a
9
fun
or 10 years old. But that was fun. It's one of those like guilty pleasure movies, but like it's entertaining.
Yeah, and that's the comic books I had as a kid. Before that movie even came out, I had the Alien versus Predator comic books, which was very fascinating that they tried to intertwine the Predator and the Alien into the same like universe, which they still do today they hint at it at the films that have just come out. So I think we're well on our way of getting another Alien versus Predator film, and the Alien franchise has been doing well recently as well.
Yes.
So
Alien is taking
Alien
another
Earth.
level at this point.
Alien Earth is it was a great series, and I know there was mixed stuff on that, but like you're an idiot if you think that's
it's pretty solid. And an Alien Romulus I thought was
great, some fantastic,
pretty good too. So
fantastic movie.
Yeah, so we're in the day and age of Alien and Predator, and that's going to lead me to my point of going back to this film. Kyle, you talked about some of the special effects. We got to talk about our good old friend Stan Winston. Did all the effects for this, built the entire Alien or the Predator costume from scratch. He's done the Jurassic Park effects. He did Terminator. He did Pumpkinhead. I mean, there's just a host of things that Stan Winston's done. He's like a masterclass of building practical effects and costumes. They built the Predator originally. I don't know if either one of you know this, but they were going to make the Predator small and agile. He was going to be like 5'8", 5'9", and it was going to be played by Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
And then they did some... And they did some test runs with the footage, too, and they were like, no, we need to make the Predator more menacing. And so they ended up making him 7'2". It would have been a different weird little thing to have, like, Jean-Claude Van Damme running around with locks and trying to kill Arnold Schwarzenegger.
There, very quickly, I know that you talk about comic books. I believe there is a crossover with... I think there's a crossover with the X-Men, with Wolverine, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. And I think I read some of that, and it was fucking sick. It was like Wolverine fucks his shit up. It's pretty cool. But also the video games, too. There was a video game that came out in like 2008 or 9, I think, and it was like an Alien versus Predator. But like you could play as the Predator or the humans.
Yep.
And it was all first person. That one was actually really fun. That was a super fun game.
I remember it being a janky game, but you had a great time with it, especially like some of the kills that you could do as the Predator or the Alien, but they made you play as the human, and that wasn't as fun. But
no, it was not. Not at all.
And then there's that game that just recently came out called Hunting Grounds. I haven't played, but I've seen that kind of advertised. And then I remember the old Alien versus Predator Sega Genesis game. I think it was Sega Genesis. I can't remember. It could have been Super Nintendo. I don't know, Andrew. Maybe you have something for that. And there was a RoboCop versus Predator spinoff. Like they threw Predator on like a lot. Yeah, it was
there's been tons of stuff. There's Batman versus Predator. Kyle, you were right. There was Wolverine versus Predator, but there were, so many crossovers with that world among others, and a lot of them worked. And they were successful. Predator versus Black Panther. There's one, Predator kills the Marvel Universe.
That's fun.
He sets out to hunt down the entire Marvel roster. Predator versus Planet of the Apes. Like that's also another one. There's so many.
And I love stuff like that. Like we don't do crossovers like that anymore, especially in like the horror field. I know that they built the whole Marvel universe, but Marvel is still contained in its own field, and like. Yep. I wish that more things would happen, but like especially being a horror fan, I noticed that like a lot of things get like locked up in copyrights, and like the Halloween series, they wanted to do Halloween and Friday the 13th, like a Michael Myers versus Jason for so long, but there's so many people that own those rights that you can't do it, and no one can decide on like where the money goes, and we end up suffering. And so it was kind of nice that Alien and Predator were able to mix together and create this kind of like world, and we still get those things. And like I said, I think we are heading for another Alien versus Predator movie, which if it's anything like the Predators we're watching now and the Alien series that we're watching now, it's going to be a banger.
It's going to be great. Very entertaining. Probably actually scary as well.
But Andrew, I'm looking at all this. I'm looking at video games. I'm looking at comic books. I'm looking at a number of sequels over 40 years. I don't think I have to ask you this question, but it's it's a weekly thing. Was this movie successful?
Yeah, budget of 15 million, and then internationally, worldwide, grossed 98 million and some change. So yeah, and I would imagine that number is larger just because of all the marketing and the independent franchising they did. I mean, there were toys and whatnot. So that 98 million was for sure well over 100 million.
Yeah, and the VHS sales alone probably tripled that.
And with a budget of 15 million, I mean, that's impressive. So
rousing success.
Yeah, especially with what they were able to do practically here. 15 mil is nothing.
No.
I know it's 1980. What year did this come out? 87. Yeah, so for 87, I know they're not looking at like the hefty budgets we do now, but still at 15 million in 87, that tells me that they didn't think this movie was going to be as successful as it was.
No. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff if you want to look into it that is about the production of this movie, and it ran into several roadblocks, but they knew they kind of had lightning in a bottle at a certain point, and they were like, fuck it, let's just full send it. And this is what you get when your budget is constrained, and when you're working with people who are working against you, and you film at the wrong time of year, which I don't know if you guys know this, but I think they filmed this in Mexico. Parts of Mexico.
Yes.
And Jalisco was a big part of that. But yeah, the mountains and jungles of Mexico. So.
But they did it during the wrong time of year, during the winter. So all the trees were dead, and all the green that you see in that movie are like ferns and palms and other like trees that they literally brought in and just like made a set. So there's a point where they're like kind of turning through the jungle, and you have like a follow along camera through a couple of them. That whole maze is like they constructed that with like living plants because they filmed at the wrong time of year. So it's kind of just like funny how that works, and it still worked out really well.
Yeah.
Nowadays, people would cancel it. We can't spend the money to figure it. Like so unimaginative.
Well, and too, like, I mean, you think about some of the biggest films of all time. Like, I mean, look at Halloween and what it grossed and what it did. I mean, they reuse leaves because they were filming in California in the summer. And in Jaws is probably one of the most famous examples because they couldn't get the damn shark to work. So instead of just like canceling the shoot, Spielberg decided to just shoot from the shark's perspective, and it created, an iconic thing. People these days, if we can't do it in camera, we'll just CGI it later. Okay, are we ready to jump in? Are we ready to find out if this 40-year-old movie holds up? I think we may be putting the cart before the horse, but I think let's just jump in and find out. Kyle, this is your pick. So where does this movie start, and how does it begin?
It begins with a montage shot of helicopters flying over a waterscape and landing at what seems to be a military base because they seem to be military helicopters. And a man gets out of the helicopter and goes to a tent. And by the way, soundtrack in this, simple but great. Love it. It's so good.
Wasn't there a scene from space first? Like a quick,
That's true. Yeah, the beginning, there's like a undisclosed kind of ship. That part, unfortunately, does not hold up. It's pretty. I don't know. I don't know if y'all have anything different to say, but for me, it's a no for me. But
I agree.
It just crashing.
It happened so quick. It was just kind of like, meh.
It was a large spaceship that looked like it could have been in Star Trek. Dropped off a little cargo hold on Earth, and it just flew out in the atmosphere, and that was it.
Yeah, that's
pretty much it.
And basically, the first 30 minutes of this movie we can breeze on by. I do want to make mention that this movie is kind of 4 movies in one, and I didn't remember that as a kid. A lot of the first part of this movie is just a military action film. It's like a war movie, and then it kind of turns into
very good too.
Turns into a slasher film, then turns into a sci-fi film. It just like it takes so many turns that it kind of feels like you can watch this movie in chapters and get something different in each chapter. So I did want to make mention of that, which is on purpose too. A lot of this beginning of this movie is very much 80s action. And I want to talk about that real quick because it is satirical in this film, and I did not believe that until I watched it as an adult, and I can pick up on these themes now. And I watched like an interview with the director, and he was talking about he wanted to create the death of the 80s action star. If someone's out there and they've seen Predator and they haven't seen anything else like Commando or any of the other things that like Arnold was in or Jesse Ventura, all this stuff, action film stars at that time were invincible. They were blowing up thousands of different things and killing millions of people with big-ass guns. They all wore tank tops. They would show off their big muscles. They were played by bodybuilders. It was creating the ultra alpha male, the ultimate killing machine in all these action films. And now they're fun, and a lot of them are also satirical, so you have to kind of watch them with this lens. Seeing Predator now in this light, I honestly, just this first part made it a lot better for me. And I'll get to why as they start peeling the layers off like an onion. But this first scene, like Kyle mentioned, there's helicopters, and we get Carl Weathers and Arnold meeting each other. And we get the iconic, I guess what you call it, like a handshake into an arm wrestling match. And he says,
it's the classic line, yeah.
Dylan, you son of a bitch. And one of my favorite lines in this movie is was like, what, the CIA's got you pushing too many pencils? And he like pushes his arm down, and this like the camera focuses on their biceps. They're both just like massive and just sweaty and oily, and they have this weird little arm wrestling match. But what happens from there, Kyle, after Arnold lands? We're kind of meeting our cast of characters. What's going on in this scene?
We're getting the exposition that at this point, Arnold's been called in to help track down a military helicopter that was carrying a quote ambassador or some kind of secretary or some kind of government position that went down in like apparently guerrilla territory. So not the actual animal, but guerrilla fighters in Venezuela, who were
well, Kyle.
Yes,
Andrew.
No, just for geographic consistencies, it would be more Nicaragua or Guatemala area, as Venezuela is in South America, and they specify it is Central America. Don't want to offend anyone because I know those countries don't like being confused for each other, but Guatemala and or Nicaragua in that area.
This is a movie in the 80s, Andrew. They don't give a fuck if they insult anybody. And I think
clearly with other uses of words that we heard a few times.
Anyway, Kyle.
So we're getting a whole bunch of exposition that's essentially saying that he's been contacted and his crew to go find this missing person in the jungle. And there are guerrillas around, and they are not friendly, and they've probably taken them hostage or something along those lines, which we'll find out is not untrue, but it's not the only reason why they're out there.
I want to make mention that they talked about Green Berets being on this plane, didn't they? Or
on this helicopter, yeah.
Because this part of the movie, there is a lot of exposition flopping around, and Arnold and his team are considered the best team out there. Did they say if they were SEALs, what they were? Does anybody remember?
No, they were mercenaries of some kind.
Yeah.
They were just like some sort of like special ops team, and there's a scene where Dylan, which is played by Carl Weathers, is saying he's going with them, and Arnold didn't like that. They seem to be friends, but also have some like beef with each other, but he's going to go on this mission because it's a high-value target. And that's pretty much your setup. And then the next scene you're in the helicopter with Arnold's team, and they're kind of bebopping around. You have a Native American guy who's massive, who's like the tracker of the group. You have Jesse Ventura, which is interesting that this movie has two governors in it. You have the governor of Minnesota and Jesse Ventura, the governor of California, and Arnold. There was this, like, during this time period, I don't know if you guys ever read this story on the filming of this movie, but Arnold pranked Ventura on this movie because Ventura was going to wardrobe, especially I think right around this scene, this part of this movie where this scene was shot, and Wardrobe had told Jesse Ventura that his arms were bigger than Arnold. And so Jesse went back to Arnold Schwarzenegger, was like, hey, I think my arms are bigger than yours, thinking that he was going to win a bet, and bet Arnold a bottle of very expensive champagne that his arms were bigger. They measured his arms right before they got on the helicopter, and turns out Arnold's arms were actually bigger, and Arnold had told the wardrobe department to tell Jesse Ventura that so that they could make the bet. He could win the bet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Some real hustling right there.
Some real hustling. You meet all these characters. They're all bodybuilders. And they were all working out on set many a times. We already mentioned Carl Weathers. We got Arnold. We got Jesse Ventura. We have
Bill Duke.
Yeah, we got this little guy that, like, I'd say little guy. He's still massive, but he's the little communications guy. He's got glasses on, and he keeps talking to the Native American guy and making the most sexualized jokes to see if he can get him to laugh. I can't remember them, and I don't probably.
We don't need to.
Probably for the best.
They're not funny, but they're funny because they're not funny.
There was one that made me laugh, but we don't need to repeat it. It's a family podcast.
It is It is a family podcast. They were funny because, like Kyle said, they were funny because they weren't funny and they were absurd. But this movie does not pass the Bechdel test. Just, you knew that walking into this one. But they're flying around. One of my also favorite lines is when Jesse Ventura is trying to hand everybody dip and no one wants it. He says at one point, he goes, "This will turn you into a sexual source Rex." And that was one of my favorite lines. My dad used to quote that around the house. I always found that line so funny.
Blaine had so many good lines. He's like, this place makes Cambodia look like Kansas. Or son of a bitch is dug in like an Alabama tick.
Yeah.
I ain't got time to bleed.
I ain't got time to bleed. And he's like, "Do you have time to duck?" This movie is super quotable, everybody. This is 80s action at its best. But they end up in the jungle, and don't they find the plane first?
They find the plane first. It's in the trees, high up in the trees. They can clearly see that the pilot and co-pilot were murdered immediately. Heat seeking missiles is what they said. Yeah, and then there's not much in the cargo space or where people are sitting in the back. But then shortly, but like 2 minutes after that, they find 3 bodies hanging in the trees by their ankles, and they are skinned alive.
Pretty good skinning job.
And blood on display. Yeah. I mean, when I say fully skinned, I mean there is not 1 square inch of skin left on these bodies. It's just a rotting corpse at this point. It's hanging down from a tall tree. And it's pretty horrifying.
Yeah, and Arnold is taken back by that because he's like, I don't think this is what the guerrillas would do. Yeah, and he's like, these are also trained Green Berets, and there's 3 of them just get skinned up. So like Arnold's already starting to figure stuff out while the rest of the group is kind of like angry that this happened. But they end up stumbling upon the guerrilla camp that they assume is responsible for this, and one of the reasons they assume is because I think 2 of the pilots are held hostage in this woman.
Yeah.
And what happens now, Andrew, that they found this camp?
I mean, they just blow it the fuck up.
They blow it the fuck up.
They go to smithereens. They destroy everyone. I don't think anyone even gets really injured in this process.
Arnold puts C4 on a truck and just picks it up and throws it into the camp, and it explodes. And one of my favorite parts is when Jesse uses that chain gun and just absolutely destroys 3 people that are trying to run at him. They absolutely destroy this camp. And I think one of the pilots gets shot before they can make their move. One thing I want to point out too is why the hell is Carl Weathers carrying an MP5?
Yeah, he could have done something bigger than that. We could have given him a saw, or we could have given him a fucking something fun.
I was struggling with something like, and I get that there's
like a Spaz 12 or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
there's
Street sweeper.
there's a lot here that's like, yeah, it's kind of, it is. Hold on. There's a lot here that kind of does the whole, tongue-in-cheek thing here, but Carl Weathers carrying an MP5 makes no sense at all. That is a close-quarter combat weapon that you would never carry into the jungle.
I think that the weapon choices are mostly, aside from that, pretty good. But they're one of the guys who's like the translator. He also has an MP5 too, but he has something on his back the whole time, and it looks like another MP5. But I actually think it's like you'll know what this is, Chase. It's like the 5.56 version of that, and it's just in this carry case in the back, in his backpack, and that's like, it's very interesting. It's like, why nobody uses it the whole time? But I just thought that was weird when I watched it back again. But also Billy, our tracker, he has the coolest gun out of everybody. It's an M16 with a master key on the bottom, a freaking full barrel shotgun without the stock. And that thing's probably got away, I don't know, close to 20 pounds. And he just makes it look like it's just tiny. It's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a lot of big guns here, and a lot of people are carrying so much weaponry, which you wouldn't on a Black Ops mission like that. You would be loaded for just special ops and stealth, and you only carry what you need. That's a big thing. But they all have, like, there's a guy that had 2 MP5s at one point, and on top of that, they have claymores, they have C4. They're carrying everything. They're loaded for bear. But they get to the camp, they destroy the camp, and they find this woman that Carl Weathers grabs and basically takes with them. My memory's fuzzy on this part, but Kyle, can you explain that we get to a point where Arnold and Carl Weathers' character, Dylan and Dutch, their names, are getting into a spat because Dutch finds out that Dylan had used them? What did he find out?
He finds out that the people that they were looking for weren't actually who they say they were. They worked for the CIA, and they knew there was a guerrilla base there, and the stuff they wanted was because, I don't know if you guys remember, but there was actually people speaking Russian. If you had the subtitles on, they were speaking Russian. So there was a Russian element to this, which back during that time, the very end of the Cold War, was a huge thing, that they were definitely in contact with each other at that time. So they found out, like, oh, you knew about this. You told us to go in here anyways, but you knew we wouldn't go in if it was under false pretenses, which they fucked shit up anyway. So I'm not sure why they were so apprehensive, but I think it was just the fact that he lied, and he has a line. He says, Dylan used to be somebody I could trust. Clearly you're not now, but you used to be somebody I could trust. So I thought that was kind of telling that from that point on, their relationship is probably going to be moot at best. Like, they don't trust him, they don't care about him. And there's a couple interactions after this that as they're trying to leave and get extracted, I think Carl Weathers makes a noise at one point, and Billy Duke, is that his name?
Yeah, Dutch.
Yeah. No.
Yeah,
the other black guy.
Yeah, Duke.
Duke goes, he's like, I don't know if you remember the line, but he says something about, like, if you make another sound like that, I'm gonna. Yeah, he's like, if you make another sound like that, I'm gonna bleed you out and leave you to die, or something like that. And it's fucking like brutal. And you can see Carl Weathers wants to say something to him, and he just moves away too quick for him to say anything. And it's like, that's gonna be the dynamic now. Is gonna be, they don't give a shit about him anymore. So
yeah,
it's pretty funny.
And now they're kind of in this, like, survival mode, and this is when we start getting the iconic Predator noise, and you can see the thermal vision of the Predator, and it watching the group and recording the audio. We don't have to go into the nitty gritty because there's a lot of, like, not a lot of dead time here, but there's just a lot of things kind of happening. But he gets to a point where the Predator's kind of stalking them, which is used in the cinematography of this film a lot. Is they put a lot of brush and shadows and stuff. It makes you feel watched. It's really well done from a shot standpoint of how that they use the environment. They make the jungle feel alive, and they make the jungle feel like it's also an enemy. as well, because the way that they have to maneuver around it. There's a scorpion on Carl Weathers at one point. They don't make it just like a background. And they use the foliage to make you feel claustrophobic. There's one scene, too, we're just kind of going to move quite along right here, where the Predator starts to kind of hunt them one by one. And I forgot who it was that goes first, but basically the Predator kills one of the military men.
It's Jesse Ventura.
The guy with the glasses dies first.
Is he that first? Oh no, that's
Yes.
right. He does find his body. They can't find his body.
He gets like vaporized essentially. That's what it seems
but
like.
they
His
can't-
guts
but-
and his blood are just like all over the jungle floor, but there's no body around.
No, and they can't find it, which I thought watching that back as an adult was pretty creepy. Like we think this is who it is, but like he's not here, so we don't know.
And why is it that none of them can figure out who fucking killed this guy? Because the camouflage of the Predator, it's an invisible entity. I just want to say, we don't see the Predator until 53 minutes into this movie. 53 whole minutes, you don't see who the main antagonist or villain is, if you will. I mean, the suspense, because I don't even know. Do you know if they showed the Predator like in trailers, like back before it was even released, or was it like a complete surprise for the audience on first watch? Do either of you all know?
No.
I don't either. I thought maybe that would have been something that we had come across, but I'm gonna assume they didn't show it. So like the suspense for almost an hour of not knowing who is hunting and who is killing, like that, I think that's pretty badass. I think it's really fucking cool, actually.
Really smart, simple storytelling. That is, it's just relying on some of the acting, but also just the shots and the editing. And I mean, there's not a lot of dialogue in this movie.
No,
like
they don't need it.
It's pretty. No, it's not needed because the tension, like Chase was saying, like the way it's shot and like the claustrophobicness of it, and just the simplicity of some of these storylines, like it really works. And it's very clever. And I think that when you see him first, so it's just a quick glimpse. Like there's a quick glimpse of the Predator, real quick.
Glimpse. He comes out of his camouflage disguise, which he's essentially just invisible. Like that's pretty much what he is. He's invisible, but you can see some sort of entity moving through the forest and the jungle. So they don't have any idea what this thing is. No idea. And it isn't even until Blaine gets killed that they know that something is out there. I believe he gets shot in his chest, like massive chest cavity is created, just completely.
And Duke sees it too. That's how we kind of know.
Mac sees it, correct. Bill Duke is the actor. Mac sees it, and it's invisible, but still a physical form. You can kind of see it's a silhouette, but it blends in with the foliage. But it's a physical entity that he can see moving, and he's freaked out. He's like, "What the fuck is it? I see you." It's a terrifying image, honestly.
And it's a really it's a great effect because all they did was have the actor run wearing a red suit, and then they chroma keyed him out, and then just layered the image to create the kind of invisibility cloak. It's a really simply done scene, but it still is so effective. But when he runs away, that's when Mac freaks out and starts just firing into the jungle.
And then they all start firing. And I was watching this with my wife last night, and she was like, "Well, they're not going to have any ammunition left now. They're all fucked." And I was like, "We can't watch a movie like that. It's not that real." But it was something I was like, yeah, they just kind of unloaded hoping to get something, and they got nothing except for a little nick. And the only person that knows it got a little nick on it was the woman,
girl,
the girl, and she rubs him on her pants, and then a little bit of time passes, and we're seeing like that Mac had a really close relationship with Jesse Ventura, and it was just devastating to him that he lost his friend. And he's like honed in now, like he wants to find this thing and kill it with his bare hands. Like he's incensed,
and
which will be a pitfall of his later.
And I want to talk about this scene, too, because the director talked about this scene. The movie studio said they wanted more firepower in the movie, so he put this scene in directly, and it's actually like a very satirical scene because it shows that they're weak-minded. They're just shooting with huge firepower thinking that was going to get the job done. It means that all that firepower means nothing, is what the director talked about in this scene. So it makes them look weak and scared. And that's what he wanted to do. Because, again, back to what he's trying to do is deconstruct the 80s action star. So we started this movie with them being invincible, destroying this camp, being powerful. And now they're starting to get picked off by something bigger than them or better than them. And now they're freaking out and doing the exact opposite of what they should do.
I will say, Chase, to that, you are correct. But I think there's one character who didn't exude that, and that was Billy, the Native American guy. Because he was, if you remember, it was before they realized that they were being hunted. He looks up in the trees, and that's when Dutch is like, "There's a man in the trees." That's how he's getting around. And Billy says the line, "Well, there's something out there waiting for us, but it ain't no man." And he stops, and he turns, he goes, "We're all gonna die." And he says it with like such steadfast and resolution, like he's already accepted. I don't know what this unknown is, but it's stronger and more powerful to me. Yeah. And we're all fucked. We're all gonna die. That's it.
He said it with such certainty. Like he's like, this is gonna happen. Like this is what's gonna happen. And he's resigned to his fate, which makes him one of the last people that actually survives. Actually,
yeah. He was one of my favorite characters. I just got to say, him and Mac. I don't know. There's just something about them. They didn't have the corniness of that 80s action star that Chase was just talking about.
There was a little bit of corniness with he is a Native American tracker, and they kind of wrote his character. There is some corniness to the Native American character that he was playing.
Sure. But he was wiser than them. For sure.
Right, which I think is a part of the corniness. Yeah, but yes, to your point, he is kind of the intelligent one that doesn't lose his mind when things start going south. But speaking
I want to say, remember his line? I think it was when they first came across the 3 hanging bodies. He says, "I wouldn't wish that on a broke dick dog." We have to give love to some of these one-liners. They are just truly legendary.
They're so many.
Good that Gretchen is rattling them off to me left and right, and she watched it for the first time last night. They stick with you, man. They stick with you.
And there's so many in this movie too. It's just hard to kind of like get through all of them. But speeding along too, I don't want to spend too much time on the next like 30 minutes of this movie because I want to talk about the finish. Yeah, we don't really need to. Predator really starts picking them off one by one. And that's kind of the gist of it. And we're starting to learn more about the Predator. We see him at one point take a shot that heals his gunshot wound, and he sews it up. He looks menacing. The effects are still incredible. The costume design is still incredible. And as we go through all this, it's starting to dwindle the group down. There's, I want to talk about Carl Withers' his character getting his arm shot off. He had dual-wielding MP5s. Gets his arm shot off, firing from another MP5. He ends up getting yeeted by the Predator. And
this is one of those points right here that, like, I do want to bring up that, like, I remember from a child that I watched as an adult, and I was like, that's actually more scary than I thought it was. It's when Mac and Dylan go to hunt and try to kill the Predator and ambush it. And you can see the Predator. They can see it. They're like, well, that's where it is right there. But they don't know that it's like luring them into a trap. And even if they did know, they didn't care because they're like, we got to do something. So they try to hunt it. And there's a moment where Mac is underneath some trees and he's kind of just like trying to be real quiet to like sneak up and get in position. And he just like kind of stops for a second and looks up. And while he's looking up, there's 3 red dots that kind of slowly make their way to his forehead. And then that's that.
Oh, he's done.
Yeah. I thought that, and then the same thing happens with Carl Withers too, and it's just like that little bit right there. You don't have to show it. All you got to do is just show that little bit. Like, we know what's going on. That's still super scary.
Yeah,
he was like right above him too. He didn't see it waiting for him the entire time. Just like so omniscient and omnipotent, like and just like, yeah.
And the
Very,
fact that
very, very good.
they flipped this on its head too, because this whole team had destroyed all this entire camp of guerrilla warfare with Russian, all this other intelligence, and now the Predator's taking them out really, because they get taken out really quickly, and
easily.
and Carl Withers is a main character, and he's taken out super fast, and you're like, holy shit! It really builds the tension of like we talk about stakes in movies. Like, you think Carl Withers, when you're meeting him, as much screen time as he gets, he's going to be one of the last ones left standing. Nope. He is not, and he's taken out so quickly. And then we kind of get to a scene where it's Arnold, the girl, and the Native American guy. What's his name again? Billy. So, and Billy kind of does the thing where he's going to basically hold the Predator off while they can get away. And he's on this, like, log bridge. And
over a waterfall or something dramatic.
And he pulls out his knife and he cuts himself to like signify the warrior's dance. And he stands there, and then he's just fucking killed in a matter of seconds, and all you hear is him scream. Yeah. And that, what to me, it's kind of funny, but at the same time, it kind of like tells you that the Predator is the ultimate hunter. And I was like, holy shit, I remember as a kid thinking that, like, how are they going to survive this thing? And as an adult, I was like, how are they going to survive this thing? And I know how this movie ends, but it still built that kind of, this thing is invincible, or you're going to need more than just that to defeat it. You're going to have to really think. And now we're down to Arnold and the girl, and there's a scene where Arnold kind of falls in some mud, and he yells out his famous line, because there's a chopper coming down to take the girl and Arnold away and like rescue them basically. And he yells, "Get to the chopper!" And that's his, and that's Arnold's favorite line. Kyle, can you do it really well for us?
Say it, Kyle.
Go, get to the chopper. Go. He just can't help himself.
Very, very quotable line. And then she starts running, because she starts running for the helicopter, and the Predator starts coming down and looking at Arnold, but because Arnold's covered in the mud, the Predator can't see him. The next 30 minutes of this movie is very interesting. We're going to, again, speed run it because we don't have to go through all the details of it, but Arnold realizes that the Predator's a hunter and that he has to hunt the hunter. And he gets really primitive. He loses his guns. He knows that's not going to do him any good. He realizes that when he's wearing the mud, it kind of cloaks him from the Predator, and the Predator can't see the thermal vision. There's a lot of like primitive trap work here, like stuff that like natives would do or primitive species would do, where they would like have logs hanging up that you would hit a trap wire and log.
It's a deadfall.
Yes.
So
and
you trip the wire, and there's a giant log or something that will crush you and kill you.
Yeah, and so
so
there's a whole montage of Arnold building all this stuff, and then him and the Predator get into this final battle. Again, this is one of those things of like deconstructing the 80s action star, because now he gets primitive with the Predator and knows that he has to, and that the Predator is not just a mindless killing machine or a slasher, it's a hunter, and it wants the ultimate hunt. They get into this battle, and Arnold does get the shit kicked out of him by the Predator. And there's one scene in particular where the Predator like starts to respect Arnold, and Arnold's like down, and the Predator takes off its mask and takes away its like weaponry. So it's going to be like a fair fight. So the Predator at this point has deemed Arnold as someone worthy of the hunt. And Kyle, he delivers a famous line at this point. Do you remember this line?
Yeah, the very famous, "You are one ugly motherfucker." And that's that.
So good.
So at this point, the Predator is taking off the mask to kind of show what it is, and it doesn't have its heat-seeking vision to make it a fair fight. Arnold sees him and is like, well, I guess this is that now. And the Predator, like, he gets a couple good licks on him, but, like, it doesn't even faze the Predator. Like, he punches him in the face, and it just kind of, like, looks at him and just, he goes, oh, he's like, bad idea. And it just fucks him up. It just wails on him, and he's getting beat, like, the shit beat out of him. He gets like thrown a bunch, and then he lands in like a little trench, and he had set up a deadfall in there, and he's trying to come. He's trying to let get the predator to come and be like, "Come on, kill me, come on, kill me," and like the predator's like, I see around that. And he backs up out, goes around, and then goes over to the other side. And Arnold's like, oh, that's not good. And, and at this point, Arnold looks at him and he looks back at the dead hang and he kicks it. And it's actually over top of where the predator was actually standing. So he bluffed him, he outsmarted him. And the deadfall crushes the predator. And for a moment, you see the log come up a little bit, and then it doesn't. And then Arnold kind of looks over, and the predator's just like, he can't get the log off him. It's too massive. Which I'm like, how the fuck did Arnold get that up? But whatever. And he just kind of starts laughing. And he goes over to he has like a little wrist pad, and he opens it up, and he starts clicking a bunch of different like buttons, and all of a sudden, like you just hear a beep, 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 and it's like Arnold's kind of like, what's that? Wonder what that is. It's like, it's a fucking bomb, you idiot. So he finally realizes that, gets up, sprints to cover just in the nick of time before apparently a nuclear explosion goes off. That the chopper that had the girl on it from the day before, they're looking for him and they see that explosion. They go to pick him up. And yeah, that's Predator.
Yeah, and what's crazy too is the girls on the chopper, and they look over and they see this huge mushroom cloud, and I was like, "There's no way Arnold would have survived that blast."
No,
I don't care.
No chance in hell.
Yeah, that was kind of one of those things where I laughed at, and I was like, "Well, we still gotta have our '80s action movie like moments in this." But yeah, I mean, basically that's it. Wraps it up. I know we kind of sped through a lot of this blow by blow, because there's a lot that happens in this movie, and I think it's like, it's worth seeing in the way that they set up the suspense. There's a lot happening that's hard to describe. But Kyle, we're going to start with you this week. What do you feel about Predator now versus when you were a kid?
I appreciate it more now than I did as a kid. There are some scarier elements to it that I kind of didn't pick up on, and also because the TV versions just did not have that level of hatred on display. They really kind of covered up large swaths of that movie that kind of gave it some weight to be scary. I also appreciated Arnold's acting more and some of the ways that the other actors portrayed themselves. A lot of them didn't take themselves too seriously, and some of them took themselves just seriously enough. The SFX was great for the time. It still is something that you can put up to even modern stuff, especially the Predator. Very scary and very well done. Mechanics in the head in general. Love the aesthetics. The aesthetics still are something that is a draw for this movie for me. But overall, yeah, much more appreciation.
Andrew, what about you?
I love the vulgarity. That's something that I didn't catch on watching as a kid, because a lot of times I watched on TV, so most of that shit was edited out. But those one-liners, man, I mean, my God, just some things that we can't say today, but so funny. But I think just the build-up, I didn't realize how long there was of a build-up to actually meet and discover who the Predator was. To me, that was terrifying. Being hunted in the jungle for minutes, almost an hour, and movie time, and not know who is trying to kill you. I told you, that's fucking badass. That's well written, well concocted. Yeah, love that. And some of the smaller characters, like when you think of Predator, I hadn't seen this in probably 15 years, 12, 15 years, something like that. But you think of, Carl Weathers, you think of Schwarzenegger, but there's so many other great, side characters, of course, like Ventura and Billy and Mac. Billy and Mac especially. I love those guys. They brought, I don't know, they elevated the movie greatly, and I didn't realize how good the supporting cast of characters was in this.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I agree with both of you on it. I just want to, like I said, I agree with both of you. I just want to add something to the satiricalness of this. and kind of like what the director was going for, I totally missed as a kid. I think that makes it hold up a lot. I'm not trying to like play my hand here, but I think you can watch this movie now if you go in with the right mindset, and it's like, yeah, okay, it's like deconstructing masculinity and the alpha male. It's just it's kind of just timeless. Like I said, the special effects don't feel that dated to me. The Predator costume's still incredible. Stan Winston's just an absolute legend. The movie is 4 parts. It's a war movie. It's, slasher movie. It's sci-fi. It's, sci-fi alien. It's suspense. It's got a little bit of everything. And I think if you go in with the right mindset, this is a movie that anyone can enjoy. As a kid, I was enamored with the Predator. It scared me to death, but I didn't know that there was so much substance behind it now. And as an adult, I see all the substance, and it just makes me kind of appreciate the character building, the world that they were working with. And it's simple. It's just a jungle and something hunting people. It's a tale as old as time. And like now I kind of want to go back and watch the other Predator movies that we saw when we were kids, especially the second one. Those are films that I'm like, why not? Why not do those? But Kyle, does it hold up?
Yes, unequivocally.
Andrew, does it hold up?
Yes, 100%. I will say, I don't want to slurp it off too much. 2 things that did bother me, and it wasn't anything crazy, but I didn't love the heat vision. Just kind of looked a little grainy, a little dated. I'm sure watching, a newer Predator movie, it looks a million times better. And yes, while I do think Arnold had great acting moments, there were still some lines where I was like, Jesus Christ. I mean, I guess that's part of the cheesiness and whatnot, but I had to roll my eyes a few lines he said, mainly at the beginning, more serious lines. I was like, all right, there's the Schwarzenegger acting chops. But yes, it unequivocally holds up.
Yeah.
And I knew that going in. I think we all did, if we're being honest.
Right. That's kind of what I was like alluding to. Like I'm telling all the listeners, like I'm alluding to if you go in with the right headspace on what you're getting. Because some people may go in with something different and they may hate this, and I can see why. But you got to kind of know what you're getting here. There's a level of cheesiness, corniness. It is a very macho film. It's a dude's rock film. There's some of those one-liners, like we said, we can't really repeat here in 2026. It's just kind of in that space and time. It's not a Bechdel test passing movie. It's all that going in when you watch an 80s action film. That's why we didn't really cover it too much. And if you're watching a film like that thinking that you're going to get the opposite, then that's more your problem than anything. But yes, this movie 1,000% holds up. And I think it's with what the legacy it has now and how it's evolved, and especially the films that are coming out now that I think are incredible. Some of the best in the entire series, which Kyle, you need to go watch those now. Yeah, it absolutely holds up. What would you do IMDb rating wise, Kyle?
This is a solid 8.2 for me. I could watch this all the time on repeat. It's great. Love it.
Andrew?
Probably won't go into the 8s, but I'll do a 7.6, which is still really good. So 7.6 for me.
That's exactly where I was going to give it, a 7.6. So 7.6, 7.6, and you said 8.1, Kyle?
Yep.
8.2.
We'll do 8.1. We'll do 8.1.
Do we know what the actual IMDb rating is?
It's 7.8.
Okay, so kind of in the middle for all of us. Not too bad.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that about wraps it up. You know what we do in here. We reach inside your childhood nostalgia. We pulled the Predator out to see if it truly holds up, and it does. It's a great movie to go catch. Maybe catch some of that satiricalness that you missed when you were a kid. We definitely recommend it. Probably one of the highest rated films we've done on the show thus far. But, Andrew, what are we doing next week?
Well, we're not going to do Spider-Man No Way Home or Spider-Man Homecoming, but we are going to do Spider-Man starring the great Tobey Maguire. And I can't fucking wait.
Yeah, written and directed by Sam Raimi, too. Horror legend. What a fun one that's going to be.
James Franco and J.K. Simmons, there's a lot to unpack. I can't wait to get back into that.
Well, and we can't wait either. So in the meantime, you can follow us on social media to see what is coming down the pipe later on. But until then, we'll see you all next week for 2002 Spider-Man.